Okay, we're going to walk through the basic steps of creating a new book project in Adobe InDesign. First off, you're going to choose Create New and then go to Document. You might think that choosing Book is the right way to go, but actually in this case we want to choose a new document. Let's set our units on something that we're familiar with, so I'm going to choose inches. And I know that let's say I want this project to be done on letter size paper and then folded and stapled as a saddle stitch. So I'm going to say the width of my page should then be 5.5 and the height should be 8.5. So that's half of US letter. For now, I'm going to start small. I'm just going to say 3 pages. I'll make sure that facing pages is checked here. And then let me do create. Okay, now I have some clutter on my screen. I'm just going to clear this up a little bit. So you're seeing here the basic layout in InDesign. Over here on the right, you can see the Pages panel. Now if this was not here, if it got closed, you could come up here to the window drop-down menu and then select Pages. So this is going to be one of your essential ways of navigating throughout the book project. Click on these page thumbnails on the right, and that will take you then in your main view to the page that you want to be working on. I'm zooming in and out here with basically the same controls that you would use in any other Adobe application. So Command minus or plus for zoom out or in. Now, so since we're primarily going to be working with photographs, I'm going to start there. The quickest way to bring a photo into a document is to go up to File and choose Place. Now, you want to find the folder where you have your images saved. If I can, I like to have these as prepared in advance as I can. So I'll typically have them named. If I know what order I want the files to be in, I'll have them named sequentially. Of course, you don't have to do this. You can always come back and replace files or relink them, but I find that it saves a bit of time later to do it this way. The other thing is with InDesign, it's not going to be able to read your raw files. So if you're shooting raw, I would suggest processing those maybe in Lightroom or Camera Raw or something like this, and then saving them out as either PSTs or JPEGs. Obviously, for final print quality, you're going to want either a PSD or a TIFF at the highest resolution possible. So you can see I chose the PSD that I wanted to place, and I clicked and dragged out a frame for it, and the image then filled the frame at the size that I created. There are a few different ways of doing this. You could also create a frame first if you had a specific image size in mind. You could also just go to Place, and I'm going to choose the same image. You see how it loads up the cursor with that little thumbnail? If I just click there without doing anything else, it's going to be huge. It goes way off the edge. It's a little hard to handle that way, which is why I like to do the click and drag technique. Let me do that one more time. So I'll choose my Photoshop file, and I'm just going to make this a rough size. I don't have to worry about aspect ratio, it's keeping that locked in with the original. So I'll drag it out to a good rough size and let go. I can now modify that up here in the page or the properties panel. So this is telling me the position on the page, the X and the Y measurements. I also have a width for the image frame. I have a height for the image. So if I wanted to, I could say, let's make this a round 4 just to make things easier. You can see it did adjust that. And then I can deal with making sure I'm not cropping the content. I'll choose this option, fit content proportionally, and then it'll shrink it down just enough so I know it's not cropping the edge off. And now as I move this photo around on the page, you can see some lines are appearing. The pink ones are showing me when that object is centered vertically and horizontally. So I'm just going to place it for now right where those two lines cross, so I know it's perfectly centered on the page. So I have now my first image placed. Now, there are many different kinds of projects. You might not always have perfectly consistent sizing and placement or formats throughout a project, and that's of course totally fine. Just to make things easy, I'm going to start off though with a project where we're assuming that everything will be consistent. So let me first save this project. That's really important. You want to make sure that you're regularly saving as you go. So I'm just going to call this project test book. And now let's imagine I have maybe 10 or 20 other images of a similar size and shape. I'm going to right click over here on the right on the page thumbnail, and I'm going to choose duplicate spread. Okay, and like copied down here, I'm going to now drag this up. So you can move these around and rearrange as needed. And now you can see I have a cover page, I have inside spread, and I have a back cover. I'm going to just select here on this spread the second and third pages. I'm going to do that one more time. Duplicate spread. And drag this up. Okay, so I now have a couple of spreads to work with. Let me go into pages 2 and 3 here. I'm going to select just by clicking on this image, and I want to now replace this with a different image. Now I could go back up to File Place, and maybe for this one I'll do that just to show you. I can then navigate to the image that I would like to put in there. And let's see, I have another Photoshop file. Let's choose that. And I'll say open. And because I had the image selected already, when I chose place with the new image, it just filled that same image frame with the new content. And you can see it's in the same placement and it's the same size and shape as the previous page. And let me go down to the next one. I'll show you one other way of doing this. I'll have that selected again. And now I'm just going to tab over to Finder. I'm going to open a new window and I'll navigate this way and show you. I have a JPEG. Let's do this. I'll just drag that over and drop. And you can see it updates to show that file as well. Now I have all kinds of things happening on the page here that are a little distracting. I have some bleeds and some other guides. If I want just a nice preview to see what this would look like printed, I'm going to just push the W key. Now that grays things out. I'm going to push Tab just to temporarily get rid of all of my panels. Just kind of clarify what I'm looking at here. Okay, I can zoom in and check the detail on that. All right, now Tab again and W one more time. Zoom out. I'm going to save my changes. And so if I wanted to, I could just keep duplicating these spreads, and it's going to grow exponentially. I can then come back in and really quickly and easily start to shape this book up without having to make everything from scratch every time.